Yo, what up? This is Mike Brown, and this is The Art of Letting Go. Today, I have a special guest in the building. We connected through Twitter, and like I was saying, you know, I really enjoy connecting with people virtually because that was something I learned during the pandemic. I had never done it before, and it just gave me the opportunity to just connect with people that are, just on the same wave as me, the same vision, and just like trying to move forward and passionate about what they're doing. And when we had the chance to talk, you told me about your podcast, and I got a chance to listen to it and really enjoyed it. Really thought it was a dope concept. And yeah, like I said, I'm looking forward to being on yours as well. But do you mind introducing yourself to the people?
Yeah. Okay. My name is Nobu Mafu. I am living in Canada, BC, on Vancouver Island. I was born and raised in Zimbabwe. I moved to Canada when I was 17. And yeah, I'm a podcaster too, but who isn't nowadays?
Right. That's a good thing though, because you know what, we all have a story to tell, so it's nice that everybody gets to share their perspectives of things.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I love it. It's like the new thing. It's like
It really is.
I guess it's not that new. Yeah.
How are you doing today?
I am feeling good energetically, but physically in my body, I'm a little bit tired. I went over to the mainland for a day yesterday, and it's just such a long trip. So I'm just feeling tired. So I'm looking forward to getting to bed early tonight.
Yeah. How far is the island from the mainland?
I mean, as the crow flies, it's only probably like 25 kilometers. But because you got to drive down the island to a ferry terminal, hop onto a ferry, cross the strait, and then when you get to the mainland, then you've got to get from that ferry terminal into the city.
Oh
So all
wow.
told, from the time I leave my house, if I have a vehicle, it's like a 4 hour, 3, 4 hour thing. But if I don't have a vehicle, then it's like 6, 7.
Nice. And what brought you
Yeah,
out there?
but it's lovely. Um, Work.
Okay.
So I'm a mining engineer, and there is a mine on the island that when I came here, that I was working for, and then I left the mining industry and remained on the island because it's so beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I have a new segment that I've been doing, that is a thought of the week. And I wanted to share a thought with you and just get your get your thoughts on it as well, like just to see what your feelings and thoughts are on it. So I'll play it for you and then we can talk about it.
Okay.
Let's see.
Hey, while you pull it up, I'm just gonna grab my cup of tea. I forgot it brewing. It's right in the kitchen.
So the question was, how do you know when that special person is that special person?
Okay. Um, so I think who your special person is has a lot to do with who you are in that
Mm.
moment at that time. And so I think as a person, that special person, how you'll know is you'll resonate at similar frequencies. I think similar frequencies, you'll be, you're complementary to one another. I don't think you have to be the same. I think complementary is better. Um, and then I think there's a choice aspect of it
Yes.
that you decide that this is now my special person, and and if you're fortunate, they decide that you're their special person, and then you make the time and the space for each other, honoring each other as each other's special person.
I like that. I appreciate that response. So now we could jump into
What do you
it.
think it is?
I think I think what you said resonated a lot to me. Um, I do believe that we meet people where we are in our lives, and a lot of times people reflect the work that we're either doing or have to do. So when somebody does feel like that, and even in somebody being that special person, there there is a time of that, like I've experienced just in dating, like feeling like somebody was that special person. And for that time, they may have been, and through growth, I may have outgrown them or they may have outgrown me or however, it may have went. But I think like to really truly find that quote unquote one is really, like you said, being on that same frequency and, the path of growing together. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what I think.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get into our episode and I wanted to start with, because we both have recently quit our jobs, and I wanted to know, well, first, congratulations on that, because
Thank you.
it's not easy. It's not easy.
It really is not. It really is not.
But what inspired you to quit your job?
Oh, that was easy. I hated my job. I hated my job. I've hated the line of work I've done for years. Um, and I've tried to power through it because I went to university, I got an engineering degree. Um, and I chose the profession for money, 100% for money. And I mean, you make good money as a mining engineer, but you pay for it. You earn it. You pay
Yeah.
for it. Um, and I realized it was starting to really erode who I was as a person.
Oh, wow.
And so, um,
So what do you mean by that,
I
if you
just
don't mind me
said,
asking?
I said to myself, you have to do something. Um, so I'm generally speaking I think I'm a bright person. I love people. I love interacting with people. I like creating things. It doesn't have to be anything profound, even if it's a quilt. And I think I'm also very soft. Working in mining, however, it's a white male dominated industry. It's a tough industry. It's a dangerous industry. And being in that environment was taxing in like the smallest ways. For instance, I've never had a job that started before 6:30. Some of them started
Wow.
at 6. So
Yeah.
for my career, I've been waking up at 4:30 in the morning, traveling an hour and a half to get to work. So, I mean, that's just one thing. And then you get to work and I have to assume a certain persona because I'm surrounded by white men, I'm a black woman, and I'm in a position of, where I have to speak and make decisions. And then that's assuming another persona. I had to walk a certain way. I had to talk a certain way. I had to be just, in a lot of ways, somebody I wasn't really interested in being. On top of that, I found the work. I think the concept of the work is really interesting. I mean, I worked in drill and blast, so like designing where we're going to drill to get whatever we're mining, whether it was gold, copper, whatever we're mining, then figuring out how much explosive we need. Then I worked as a planner, like a production planner, estimating how much metal are we going to produce for the month? Are we going to meet our target? So in concept, that sounds really cool because mining, some people don't know this, but we can't have the society we have today. We can't make our society any more green without mining. So in that sense, it sounds great. But I was like, but I honestly don't give a shit about how it's done. I don't care. And so, I've always, because there was all these things kind of this agitation inside me. And I finally said, the money is not worth it. It's not worth it.
That's real.
And then I jumped out the window and I said, the net will appear. And it has.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So what are you doing now?
Right now, I am currently unemployed.
Okay.
I spent the summer healing in my body, mentally, psychologically. The work I did was very hard on my body. A lot of sitting. So the whole right side of my body, because a lot of it is computer design, I was using the right side of my body and I just started to develop all sorts of aches and pains. Not being in an environment that I hated has allowed me to bloom again. And yeah, so now I'm just figuring out what's next. And now I know what I want to do next. And now I'm like, okay, I'm preparing for that now. So it's an
really
exciting
dope.
place to be. Yeah. Thank you.
I agree with you. Of course, of course. I said entrepreneurship feels like the most exciting and both anxiety driven thing I've ever done in my life. Like I'm really excited about what I'm doing, but it also makes me feel very anxious just kind of looking at that what's next. I'm finding for myself, I hold a lot of fear in financial stability, and I'm really having to work through that, and I'm letting that go. And I don't think I've talked about it on the podcast since I've left my job, but letting go of that fear and taking on financial abundance and just trying to understand what that looks like and feels like for me. And it's making me become a better businessman and really trusting in my product. And that's so hard, especially coming from like, music and art and just how people make you feel like this is what you're supposed to do. Like, you're not supposed to expect to be rich and this and that. And it's like, no, I deserve that just like everybody else.
Listen. I hear you. Financial anxiety is huge for me. Like,
yeah.
So I bought this place in November and then I quit my job and I realized this weekend that I can't afford to live here anymore. That's what it is. And so now I'm going to be renting out my place and going to live somewhere else because I'm like, well, I have to protect my investment. That's okay. It'll always be here. And I know that it's going to be okay. I know that but that making that decision was very emotional for me. But then I'm also now at a spot where I say, listen, you've been figuring shit out since you were 17 when you became a mom at 17. You've been figuring shit out. Why is this any different? And so letting go of this attachment, I mean, it's my home and I love it here, but letting go of this attachment has opened up other possibilities. So I'm going home to Zimbabwe in November, and I'm staying there for 3 months. And when I come back, I'm just going to I'm going to continue like podcasting and building this thing I have for myself. But I've also decided I want to get a master's degree. So when I come back, that's what I'll be doing. I'll just be a broke student, and that's okay.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
No,
That's beautiful.
no.
That's really beautiful. How did you get into podcasting?
Oh, so I learned about podcasts in 2014, and I was like, oh my God, I want to do this. When I was a child, I used to pretend with my cousins that I was Oprah Winfrey, and I would interview them. And I loved it. I think I was a natural. And every time I would listen to a podcast, I'd be like, man, I really want to do this. I really want to do this. But I didn't know what I wanted to talk about. And then I was like, well, talk about what you know. And I said, well, I know a lot about being a mom. So I said, okay, I'm going to do a parenting podcast, and then I'm going to niche it up and do a podcast specifically for African mothers raising their children outside of Africa. And that's my niche. I'm enjoying it. People are enjoying it. As soon as I heard a podcast, I was like, I want to do that. And it took 9 years, 2014, carry the two, I don't know, 8 years.
But you know
8 years to
better late than never. And it's dope to hear that, it sounds like you're still connected to your inner child, because you were interviewing as a child, and now you're doing it today. So that's really dope to hear.
Yeah.
Being a mother, do you see things that like your child is interested in, and do you like kind of pour into those like passions or hobbies?
Absolutely. Yes. I actually have an episode on that, nurturing your child's talent, and 100%. So my son, Owami, he is 16 years old. And over the years, he's been into this and that. And when he finds something that he's into, I'm like, okay, what do you like about it? He'll tell me, okay, I always put the onus on him. You tell me what you want to do and I'll support you. And so like in the last few years, it's been basketball. And so I talk to him. I think I'm kind of like his psychological coach in that, like his psychological sports coach, because I'll ask him, okay, well, how did you feel about the game? How did you feel about your game? How did you feel about your energy with your team? And, we'll have that conversation. And I see it like when he's on the court, for instance, I told him ages ago, I was like, you're a leader. Okay. You're a leader. And I suspect a lot of your teammates look to you for their energetic calibration. So go out there and lead energetically. And I see that in him. Sometimes if I'm watching one of his games, I'll be like, I didn't see a lot of tenacity out there. What's going on? And we'll explore that. One of the things I did when, during the pandemic, actually, when he couldn't play with his friends, I got him a sports psychology book because that's a big part. He wants to play in university. And so, yeah, I'm constantly trying to connect with him through his interests.
That's awesome. That's really dope. Do you feel like
it's fun?
What advice would you give to two people raising children right now, and I just a tip that you would give to people raising children right now.
I think the biggest one is give your child a voice. Let your child internalize that what they think is important, what they have to say is important, that they have a right to be listened to, and that it's okay to speak. It's okay to be loud. That's one thing I really want parents to pour into their children, because I think then the rest gets easier.
Yeah.
That would be my
That's
thing.
dope.
Yeah.
That's really dope. I kind of want to go back to the podcasting because I am doing a podcasting course. So I've been having a lot of people hitting me up about just how to start a podcast, equipment, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm curious to know, experience-wise, how has podcasting been for you so far?
Cathartic, therapeutic, fun, easier than I expected. Yeah, it's been a joy.
Yeah.
The only stressful part about it for me is I'm quite disorganized, and I'm not great at planning. So I will be releasing an episode tonight at midnight. And
Okay.
I was at this event last night and I was like, oh, that's a great topic. And then I went out, I had fun. And then last night I was like, shit, what was that idea? Shit. What was that idea? And then I got home and I was taking a nap. I was like, oh, that's right. Self-care. Cool. So after this, I'm going to be, yeah. Sorry. What was the question? I tend to ramble.
No, it's all good. No, you were definitely answering. I was asking how has podcasting been for you, but you're answering in real time. Like, I think people need to really know about this because trust me, for a long time, especially when I was working, I was editing episodes up to the last minute. Putting episodes out late, just skipping episodes, just really having a hard time finding my flow. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I've been trying to push on people is consistency of just like, if you say you're going to put an episode out Wednesdays at 7:00, have them out at Wednesdays, 7:00. Even if the episode is you explaining, hey, I couldn't get an episode at this time. And just talking about it, because I think people will benefit from my experience. I think that's been my biggest thing with my podcast is just not being so polished. Like, I don't want this to look hard for somebody. I want them to see this and say, I can do this.
Yeah. No, I feel that. And I think it brings a certain authenticity to it. Like, you're a person listening. I'm a person listening. You know how it be. Sometimes you come home and your laptop is like, well, not today. And, we can all relate to all these things that can just happen. But I think that consistency is critical. That consistency, even for yourself as the creator, because there's a momentum buildup. And I think when you lose that momentum, you're not starting from the beginning, but you're starting off a little bit further back than you might have been had you kept going. So yeah, that's something I would impress upon people that if you want to get into podcasting, first of all, this is the best. So that book, The Artist's Way, the best advice I think you can give to somebody that wants to start a podcast and they're like, man, I'm not sure. Will it be good? Da, da, da. Okay. Go there and make your first bad podcast. Because let me tell you what, once you have that one bad podcast published, guess what? You are now a podcaster. You can get to the being a good podcaster later on,
I
you know,
agree. And it's like
just do it.
if you record your worst episode, there's you can only go up from there. You're not gonna get worse if you feel like it's your worst episode. So that's what I always tell people
Exactly.
too. Like, you
Exactly.
know, when you
Exactly.
see all of this, like you're seeing a polished version of it. Like you're seeing like years of this building up to what it is. And I think that is something that I've noticed is that people want to skip steps.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think it's because the journey, people, you don't see the behind the scenes. The journey isn't apparent. If you get attracted to the end product. And I think something you really, if you want to get into podcasting, be okay with being a beginner. Be okay with making mistakes. Be okay with it. Let it go. Let it go. It's an art.
Right.
Letting go.
That is a fact. That is a fact. I wanted to talk to you about the artist way as well because I mean I've read the book so many times and I get something from it every time I do. The last couple of times I've did it, I led a group of people, actually two groups of people in like a workshop in a sense for just being on that journey together. Like it's a really good book. It was hard for me to do alone, but doing it with other people, it just felt so powerful and our journeys are so connected. And every time I've done it, like the groups of people have been so connected. But I'm curious to know, what was your experience with it?
Okay, so this sounds so dramatic, but it's really changed my view on life in a really profound, actually it's not dramatic, it's changed my view in a really profound way.
Wow.
This book challenges me because I still haven't finished it. I'm still working through it. And I'll tell you what, the effect it has on me is so potent that sometimes I struggle to go back to it to do the next chapter because the work is challenging. It's a lot of digging within yourself. It's a lot of interrogating of your own ideas, interrogating of your own beliefs, and it's uncomfortable. Sometimes it's really uncomfortable. But man, I think it should be like required reading for people after high school. Should be required reading like every 5 years. At least everybody should like mandate. You know how we had the mask mandates? No, let's do a mandate of everybody reading this book.
Yes, I agree with you.
It's powerful. It's so powerful. Like, okay, so I'll tell you. Okay, so you know how there's the morning pages.
Yes, I still do those.
For people that don't know, kudos. For people that don't know, the artist pages, the morning pages are every morning before you get out of bed, you write on piece of paper, old school style, 3 pages of whatever. If you have nothing to write, you write, I have nothing to write for 3 pages. But it doesn't happen very often, but that purging first thing in the morning, I mean, oh man, I don't even know how to put it into words, but it encourages that introspection right at the top of the day that you can then carry with you. And I guess sometimes it's measuring yourself against what and who you say you're about. Sometimes it gives you, I think for me, it gives me a window into myself to say, hey, Nobu, this is what you need today, depending on what comes out on the pages for me. Sometimes it's like, well, you need a little bit of tenderness. today because you're not feeling okay, and that's okay. And so I'll give myself a break. I'll give myself a fucking break. Sometimes it's accountability. It'll sometimes those morning pages will tell me that, you know what, the pity party is done. I'm tired.
Yeah.
Like, you're tired of yourself at this point, so get your shit together. Um, and sometimes it inspires gratitude. You know, when you write the affirmations,
Yeah.
sometimes it inspires gratitude, and it 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 I walk into the day um at an elevated energetic level. That's almost like a dome, though. It's like a protective dome, so that if someone comes at me sideways, it just ricochets. Pew! You know, not on my dome. If if you know, it's almost like you're immune to energetic interferences.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a powerful tool of self exploration.
It is. It really is. Yeah, and
Yeah,
I'm glad that you
yeah,
shared that because I try to push it on people all the time and they think I'm just trying to push it just because it's what I do. But yeah, I'm glad you shared that because man, that book has helped me so much in my journey. It's funny, I was even thinking that I need to start taking myself on dates again. I need to start going back to the artist dates and just
yes,
planning those
yes,
out because they're
yes.
beneficial as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like for me, I've always known that my inner child was so there, and like I have a very big inner child. But I think through the years she'd become a little bit stunted. Part of it was because of the work I was doing. It felt like
Yeah.
there was no space for her. Um, but the reading the book, because the concept of an inner child for me was just kind of something that I had intuitively felt, but then reading it in the book validated everything that I had always kind of known to be true. And then it gave me the license to be like, yes, indulge your inner child. Indulge your inner child. Like, let her
Yeah.
out. Let her run things for a little
Hmm.
while.
Yeah.
And it's I mean, children are so wonderful. Connecting with myself as a child. I mean, I love it so much. I love it so much. So,
That's
yeah.
really dope. That's really dope. So I wanted to move into a section that we call Ask Me a Question, where the listeners send in
Okay.
questions.
Okay.
So yeah, we're gonna move into Ask Me a Question.
And this is my favorite part of the show. I love the questions, and I like the 5 questions too. And that
All
intro.
right. So our first
I
question
love it.
comes from first question comes from Vince, and it is, how do you manage your stress when you feel you're not able to?
Oh, okay. I'm very familiar with stress. Um First thing is acknowledging I am stressed the fuck out.
Mm,
Okay. Okay. I'm stressed. What I do is I'll go look in the mirror and I'll talk to myself and I'll say, Nobu, what do you need in this moment to feel better? Sometimes I need a hug. You know, that hormone release from when you get a hug. And sometimes I don't have somebody around to hug me. So I'll wrap my arms around myself and I'll just close my eyes and I'll say, okay, there's a hug. Um, and then sometimes I think sometimes you just have to let yourself feel, because trying to snatch the solution out of the universe can feel like grasping at straws, which then stresses you out more. And so I think when you're stressed out, it's actually really important to do whatever you need to quiet your mind, because a mind that's stressed out isn't optimal anyway. So find a way to quiet your mind. And it doesn't mean like turn off the stress. No, the stress is still there, but see if you can quiet your mind, because it also gives you an opportunity to say, okay, the thing I'm stressed about, is it even important? You know, is it even something that warrants stress? Because sometimes, and then there's another thing. So if you can say, okay, this thing that's stressing me out, in this other book I read, it's like there are some problems that are gravity problems. You know, gravity is an irrefutable force in our existence. If, let's say you keep dropping something, are you going to turn off gravity? No. Like, that's not something you can fix. Live with it, right? But if you can quiet your mind and say, discretize, okay, this is my problem. Okay, I've identified the problem. And you kind of like peel away at whatever until you find your answer there. But yeah, acknowledge the stress, give yourself what you need, quiet the mind, and then exfoliate to the solution.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I appreciate that. The next question is, have you found your purpose in life, and do you have recommendations on how to go about doing it?
Have I found my purpose in life? I'm getting very close to it. It's something I've really struggled with. Part of the reason why it took me so long to leave the mining industry was I don't know what I'll do. I don't know what I'll do. I have no idea what I'll do. The artist's way has been so helpful in that regard. Listen, if for no other reason, read The Artist's Way if you feel like you don't know what your purpose in life is. You will. I doubt, I mean, unless you're super special, I doubt that you won't be able to find your purpose.
Right.
Have I found my purpose? I'm so close. It's coming. You know what it's like? I think your purpose, and the book actually says this, it's like there's a mirror and it's fogged up. Or maybe that's another book, the Four Agreements. But finding your purpose is
another
like
great book.
A process of, yeah. It's a process of like cleaning that mirror to see yourself. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot what the question was. Waffling away.
No, it's all good. It's all good. And I got one more for you. And this is from Jorge. What do you do when you feel lonely?
Oh my gosh, that's another feeling I'm very well acquainted with. When I feel lonely, I ask myself, are you feeling lonely because you're withdrawing? Or are you feeling lonely because you're struggling to find a connection? Sometimes it's a connection to yourself. Sometimes it's a connection to another. And then for me, it takes courage when I am feeling lonely, because when I start to feel lonely, it starts off as, oh, I'm lonely. And then self-pity comes to the party. And then all the unwelcome thoughts come in as well. And so when I'm feeling lonely, I have to have enough courage to say, okay, if you're lonely, you're probably bored as well. Well, you haven't been cycling in weeks. So there's something you could do. And then that interrogates your what's going on with you. Well, you have a bike, you don't want to go out for a bike. Well, do you really want to stop being lonely? Or are you just kind of But then I guess there's also like that existential loneliness, right? There's can be, I'm having a lonely weekend, but then the existential loneliness, that's something I feel a lot. Um, and that one's harder, but I think it's kind of the same process on a grander scale, figuring out, well, what are the things that are important to me? What are the things that I'm genuinely interested in? And then have the courage to engage in those things, because then that's where you'll meet like-minded people anyway. I think that's where you're more likely to meet people on a similar frequency as you. So you have to have the courage to come out of your shell, um, and meet the loneliness head on. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what's up. Yeah, I feel that. I do feel that. So now we are moving into our 5 questions of freedom, sponsored by Feel Free to Feel Free. So question number 1 is Beyonce or Rihanna?
Oh, come on. That's not even fair. Oh. Okay, I'll have to go with Rihanna.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd have to go with Riri. I love her vibe. I think she and I would have a lot more fun, frankly. If I had
Yeah,
to spend a day with one of them, I think Rihanna and I would vibe.
I feel that. I feel like she would be fun.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. She's real.
yeah. Second question is Afro beats or trap beats?
Afro beats. Come now, I'm a child of Africa. That one is a no-brainer for me, non-brainer. Like for me, African American culture is foreign because
Yeah,
I'm African African. I mean, I hate those divisive, but that's the fact. So the oh man, Afro beats every day, all day. Except
that's
for
what's
when
up.
I'm playing Renaissance for the 10 millionth time on loop.
That's funny. But she also has a album with Afro beats also. The one that she did for
Yes.
Lion King.
Oh my God. The
Y'all still
gift.
covers everything. Yep.
Listen, listen.
My third question is what is something personality wise that you like about yourself?
I think I have a magnetic personality, and I really like that about myself. I know that I can draw people in and make them feel welcome and make them feel listened to. Um, and that's something I really, really give myself kudos for. Sometimes we can really struggle to find the good in ourselves, but that's something that of late I've allowed myself to internalize.
That's
And it's
dope.
something people have been saying to me for years. And I just I didn't know how to internalize it. But lately I'm just like, lately I've been like, firstly, I love spending time by myself because I'm a vibe. I'll be by myself in the house having conversations. I'll be having conversations with myself. And, you know, I'm just like, okay, but Loki, you are the life of the party. And I'm like, right?
That's hilarious. But I feel it.
Good, I'm glad. I'm glad. Yeah.
My fourth question is what is one piece of advice you would give to your younger self?
I would say you're probably not going to figure it out. So don't, don't even try. Just explore, be curious. Oh, that's if I could go back in time, I'd say to Nobu, hey, be more curious. Because I'm a curious person, but I'd be like, be more curious. Go and try it. Try anything at least once. Just try, because I'll tell you what, and this is why. So growing up, my father died when I was just shy of my 9th birthday.
I'm
And
sorry to hear
the
that.
few memories I have, thank you, the few memories I have of him was him boasting to anyone that would hear him about how intelligent his daughter was. Oh, he had a South African accent. He was South African. My daughter is so intelligent. And that's something I grew up hearing, and something my mom's echoed. And it actually made me so fearful of trying new things. As a child, I was athletic as well. Like I played hockey, field hockey on a national
Wow.
level. Hearing that about myself made me afraid to not be good at something. And it's something that I'm unlearning now as an adult, that it's okay to be a beginner. It's okay to look foolish. It doesn't matter. So if I could go back, I would say, be curious and be okay with making mistakes.
Man, I needed that reminder for myself. So thank you.
Good, good.
And my last question is, what is a reminder that you want to leave for your future self?
The same thing. Keep trying new things and don't be afraid of making mistakes. I think there could be a tendency as we get older to start telling ourselves, well, it's too late for that. I should have done this. It's too late for that. And firstly, that's a lie. Unless you're dead. When you're dead is when it's too late. That's when it's too late. But as long as you're still breathing, it's not too late. So keep being curious. And another thing, I think, as the older we get, we become more set in our ways. And you think you know what you know. And you think what you know is the truth, blah, 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 blah. No. When I talk to my friends, I encourage them to reinterrogate some of the ideas and beliefs that they've held. I think of it as like just unpacking the little suitcase of who you are, look at everything that's in there. And some of the things you'll discard, you'll be like, well, no, that's that idea. Because those ideas and beliefs, even though we're not conscious of them, they're latent within us, and they are actually still informing our perceptions, our the way we see people, the way we see things, the way we understand things. And so if you don't interrogate some of those beliefs, if you're not curious about yourself, you might find that you're actually not living the life of integrity with yourself that you're searching for, which I think can lead to loneliness and stress, So, yeah.
That's real. Nobu, where can the people find you? Where can they find a podcast? We're going to look for it at midnight.
Okay. You can find me on. Okay, so firstly, I suck at social media. I'm not very good at it. So I would say on Instagram at Nobu Mafu. No, at the real Nobu Mafu. Nobumafu. The real Nobu Mafu. And my podcast is called The League of Evil Moms. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Anchor. And there will be an episode dropping tonight at midnight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nobu, thank you so much for coming on the show. Like, I'm definitely going to bring you back. I always love to introduce my audience to a guest and then eventually bring them back, because I'm so excited for your journey, just with everything you're doing. And, we are definitely cheering for you over here. So yeah, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy that we finally did this, and I would love to, love to, love to, love to come back on the show.
Yes, yes. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. This is Mike Brown, and this has been The Art of Letting Go. Peace.